Brandon, does he show up with the hood and sunglasses again? Not this time. Not this time. But we can have some epic music. That was a fun show. The Unabomber show. Check this out. Now I got this. So when I look over here, I'm still looking at you guys, even though I'm looking at another screen. But you probably know this because I've been messing around with the different camera angles on the show with Sevon. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to chat a little bit today. We're just going to free flow. There's nothing really planned. I do have some information, though. We're going to talk about the potential plans of the new buyers of CrossFit. Got to hang out over the weekend at CrossFit Mayhem, as you guys know, a couple weekends ago. And this isn't official. This isn't direct. You know what I mean? It's not like direct from the source. But it's part speculation, part insider information. So we'll get into that. But first we'll talk a little bit about, as you know, with every show, damn near, a vision. Because I speak with affiliate owners pretty frequently, and they'll shoot a DM or something like that, and it totally depends on where I'm at. So like a lot of times if I'm just happen to be on Instagram, just scrolling around or like looking through some stuff and a DM comes in, chances are I'm just going to respond to right there. And if it's somebody that usually reaches out and says like, hey, I'm a coach that's going to open a gym. I'm going to open my gym soon. I'm thinking about opening a gym. I've been coaching for X amount of time. Like, do you have a minute to talk? And usually I'll be like, yeah, sure. Here's my number. Shoot me a text and let's find a time. And so when I do get a chance to talk to a lot of these affiliate owners, there's a lot of the same questions, typically around, hey, what type of plan do I need to have to either start my own gym, or what sort of things should I be thinking about? And a lot of the times, as I start to drill down, they think they have this whole thing kind of mapped out. But when you start to really dial it down onto like what they want to do at their gym, like what do you want to have happen? What do you want this place to be like? What size you want to do? What type of big group classes, semi-private, what do you want to offer? And typically once you start to go down those questions a few times and then double down on like, okay, well, why? And then the real kicker is always, all right, now if you were successful, what would that look like? And then typically there's a moment of pause and people are kind of like, oh, wow, I haven't really thought about that much. Okay. And then they'll start to go down that path. And what you'll find is a lot of the times they're just like, holy crap, that just helped me with a ton of clarity. What do you guys feel about this angle? I don't know about this one. We might have to adjust that camera. And usually they're appreciative of it just because, like anything in life, typically the answers are already within or right in front of our face. But usually it takes some good questions and somebody who is on the other end that is kind of making you dig a little deeper and figure out really what is like motivating you to do what you're doing, or where it is you want to actually go with your gym or in life in general. And a vision is huge. If you are somebody who is, and it changes, it's a moving target. So if you're somebody who's like really set and you're like, I was 7 years old and I was going to be a firefighter, and I knew I was going to be a firefighter from 7 and I'm a firefighter, like that's awesome. And there are some people like that, and that's great. And then once you find that passion, you're able just to like fulfill it and keep going, and you're set. But for a lot of us, for the majority of us, it's a moving target. A lot of the times I'm a student, so I'm identifying as this. And then once that runs its course, I haven't really planned past that. So next thing you know, I'm in this weird, like, I don't really know what to do with my life. I was doing this, I finished this, and now I'm kind of rudderless. And the more you could think further out, the more long-term it could be, the more you could see, hey, I'm a student now, but what's going to happen after I'm a student? Hey, I'm a CrossFit Games athlete now, but what's going to happen after nobody cares about me? So you have to start to think further out. That way, when you have your vision, you also can start to understand first, second, and third order consequences. And a lot of times people don't think through those second and third order consequences. I know a lot of times when I screw stuff up, I never think about those, and then they always come to bite you in the ass. If this is Souza, the term added value 4 times, we'll know it. Uses the term added value 4 times, we'll know it's the real Souza. If I say added value, contribution, or I think before anything, then that's how you know it's me. That's when you create a lower intensity bastardization of CrossFit and sell it. Dang. Trish coming in hot today. Jenny, your that post of that song you made in your most recent Instagram post was hilarious. That is how you lean in. What's up, Judy? Good to see you. Mr. Spin. I prefer checkers. No, you don't. Janelle, what's up? I play 3D chess or 3D checkers, Chinese checkers. All about chess. Brett, how you doing, man? Hope you are doing well. When are we going to get to the dating part of the show? Different channel, sagging these nuts. Different channel. And so the second first sort of consequences, and I'm going to take this example here. So it'll be a little bit out of where's Jenny? Did she block me? Sorry, dense updates, Trish. Dense updates. And I thought this was interesting because it applies to what we're talking about here in what may or may not happen with the CrossFit strategy, which we'll talk about. But I just thought that this was rather interesting. If I could actually pull it up. Okay, so McDonald's put in these new kiosks inside of their, what do you want to call it, restaurants. And you guys probably don't know that because you don't frequent McDonald's at all. But McDonald's put these kiosks that were made to make ordering quick and convenient, but they were designed to increase their sales. Okay, so now this is interesting because this is a long slide. We're not going to go through all 900 of them that they posted or whatever. But it says right here, like McDonald's didn't install kiosks just for convenience. They installed them because they understood something deeper. Humans spend differently when nobody is watching. Now, the as it goes through this, you could tell that when McDonald's put these in their test stores, I wonder like how much of this they said, okay, let's find a way to reduce our costs, right? Because you could have less people standing behind the counter taking orders if we have these kiosks. So maybe that was like the first thing that they thought about in this strategy. And then they were like, okay, so we could double the amount of people we serve. So if we have 2 people at the counter and that's full and they go immediately to the kiosk, like boom, we're just turning those customers that much quicker, right? Exactly. The barbell spin. More chicken nuggies for John. You go for the 10 piece or the 20 piece, not the 10 when nobody is watching. And so as they put them in their sample stores, what they realize is at the counter, you're under pressure. There's a line behind you. There's a cashier staring. You feel rushed and you stick to your usual fast and simple order. Because if you sit there and kind of go, right, and play that game, usually you start to feel the social pressure of people behind you if there's a line or the person taking the order getting annoyed. So what they realized is the kiosk removed pressure, no line, no rush, no judgment. But more importantly, when they ordered at the kiosk, they spent 15 to 20% more. Now, the interesting thing about that is they spent more because there was just subtle nudges in terms of upsells that didn't feel or seem like upsells. But most importantly, if I wanted to customize or add stuff, or my favorite example in these slides, see, it's like now they have the ability to charge you for like extra pickles, some bacon, whatever, which obviously at the counter would slow stuff down. But this is my favorite line. And let's not forget indulgence. So at the counter, you hesitate to add a McFlurry at 10 a.m. But at the kiosk, no judgment, no eye contact. It's just a button. Kind of like having a beer at an airport. Right? You're like, okay, well, if I have a beer at 7 a.m. at the airport, there's a lot of other people drinking this. Doesn't seem weird. So anyways, I think about that stuff a lot in terms of, okay, well, if I want X to happen and we're going to try to move towards X by using this particular strategy, like what starts to happen when you implement that? In the case of the McDonald's kiosk, it was more sales because of all those different conditions that surround ordering at a counter and feeling like a glutton piece of shit when you order a McFlurry at 10 a.m., which you should not do. So, I just thought that was an interesting example. All right, so let's dive into some of the stuff with the CrossFit new buyers, huh? So here's the word on the street. What I heard, rumor has it, where's my little button here? Jonathan Ortega says my favorite one to press. Rumor has it that they're going to start with some of adjustments to the affiliates. Now, I heard that, and I'm not going to give specifics because I've heard different numbers that come through. But I heard that if it moves with the group, the B Sport group, and Malik and them, that they were originally looking to cut affiliate costs, lower the affiliate fee from the $4,500 that it costs now, and whatever the barrier to entry is to actually start your affiliate. I think it's got quite expensive, just the application process, and now you have to get your L1 and then your L2. So those costs start to add up. So I do believe that it just comes off the annual affiliate fee, that they're going to reduce it by a certain percentage. I don't know, but enough to make it, noticeable so the affiliates feel it. The second order of business I heard was something that had to do with, essentially, until they really understand the value proposition to an affiliate, freeze affiliates, meaning through the transition period, and as they develop the plan, whatever the fully fleshed out plan is for affiliates and for CrossFit's next moves, I heard that they were just going to stop and just be like, okay, we're not going to take on any affiliates until we really figure out what exactly the value proposition is here, and what exactly is the mission and the way that we want to set this up. So that could be pretty interesting if you come in hot and you're like, and to me, what I hear when I start to hear things like this is, it reminds me of just like a presidential campaign, right? You can make a ton of promises when you don't have any autonomy over making those decisions, right? So, Matt, what would you do? Well, as president of CrossFit, no affiliate fees for anybody, and we're going to pay you. It's like, great, sure, I could say that, but when the rubber meets the road, are we really going to be able to cut affiliate fees down to zero and then pay affiliates? No, of course not. So, again, take that with a grain of salt, right? As there's some campaigning. So that could be an interesting strategy, though, because over the last 4 years, and arguably before that, the affiliates kind of felt like the foundation, but only in lip service, not an actual contribution to the affiliates in any meaningful way. Now, there's been attempts at it, and a lot of the times the attempts come from the management listening, right? Like that was the whole thing with Rosa. Like he was going to listen, and we're just going to listen. And then everybody's going to listen. But like, no, you don't need to fucking listen. What you need to do is decide, this is the direction we're going, and here's how we're headed there. So we're over the kind of like, we're going to listen to affiliates. The affiliates aren't buying that anymore. At this point, like, we need to see some sort of action. Like, show us what it is. Don't just listen to affiliates. Come up with that vision, decide what the value proposition is, and then move forward. So I'm interested to think about the second and third order consequences just off those two speculated starting of the new buyers, which is freeze any new affiliates coming in and lower the affiliate fees. So the first, that first order, it sounds great if you're a current affiliate. But as I do talk to some of these affiliate owners and help them kind of decide what they want their gym to be, a lot of them that I talk to don't own affiliates yet. So the question then is that going to stop that new pipeline of that next generation coming in? And if you stop that pipeline, how long do you stop it for? And what type of consequence does that have? As before, we've never seen a total freeze of affiliates. We've seen a lot of slowdown, especially during the pandemic year, I'm sure, or years, but we've never seen anybody just stop it. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The second piece is the lowering of the affiliate fees. The problem with that is, are you pigeonholing yourself to never being able to raise the affiliate fees again? Because it would seem kind of weird if you lowered it by 25% and then over the next 2 years decided to like raise it another 25%, essentially pushing it back and then pushing it back to right where it was. If it's already at $4,500 a year and the affiliates have already felt that sting and that burn, you might as well at that point just keep it at the same price point. You could lower the barrier to entry, maybe for new ones, and you could find other ways to put in certification propositions. Meaning, if I have to go get my renewed cert, I get it for free as the affiliate owner, right? So I could understand that. Um, the other interesting thing is going to be what ends up happening with the games. Now, I haven't heard much in terms of the games at all, really. I haven't heard anything about speculation on Dave Castro still being in charge or them removing him, or there hasn't really been a lot of chatter about it. It's been mostly focused around the affiliates, which is smart because the whole entire season has to have this kind of like in between year where it washes out from what happened at the games last year. And then at the same time, what I mean by washes out is like that temperature just cools off. You have like the WFT and all these other things that are going, and within a year, it'll kind of shake out to show like, all right, is this just the new thing that's here, or is there actually going to be some longevity to this more than just one season, like we saw with Grid back in the day? Although it's still around, not hanging on Grid, but it's kind of just in the background now. So not much rumor on that. If you would ask me, of course, this is my show. I would say the first thing that they need to do is separate the two. So it's like you have CrossFit, you have the games, and you have affiliateship and training as one. You got to break the games off. And then what I would do right now is I would just put Dave as CEO of the games, and I would start to just unwind it from CrossFit in and of itself when it comes to resources. I think you need to, at this point in time, 20, going on 20 years of the CrossFit games coming up on it, like you need to say, we got to pull this thing apart and see if it could stand on its own. It could still be underneath the CrossFit HQ umbrella. You could still have the title Fittest on Earth. You could still move, make it for the tip of the spear, all of that type of stuff. Still have a season, whatever. But at some point, you need to sever it from the umbilical cord of HQ and say, can this thing stand on its own? Now, and then I would leave Dave in charge with it, and then I would start to have conversations with him of like, hey, what's the future of this? What's your vision of the CrossFit Games? How would you like to see this play out? Because I guarantee you, Dave has a lot of opinions on stuff, and we just don't hear it that much. I mean, he had a lot of autonomy when it was with Greg, like a ton, but it wasn't going to be all out, right? And then now when it switched to private equity hands, it's going to get completely, and has been completely pruned back further and further and further and further. So, Seth, what's up, dude? Send the games back to the ranch. Dude, you blew my mind with that video when you had me on your show that first time, and there was Greg was talking about it. He said it was at whatever 5,000 or so people that showed up in attendance, and he's like, "That's where I want it. I think that's about right." That blew my mind because I agree. Like, if you kept the ability to go to that venue and you kept it all small, and even had the season how we see it now, where it moves through bigger affiliates as qualifying spots. So it literally had like the season has to run through the CrossFit community, run through. So like you have the open that starts in the affiliate, you have the semifinals that are taking places in affiliates. That's the way that you build it towards the tip of the spear. And then when you have the ranch or something like this, where it's kind of like this icon place, this mecca of CrossFit, right? A lot of history there. A lot of people want to go check that out. You could leverage that as well and just say, hey, the demand for this is so high that now in the supply for you guys to come in attendance is low. So guess what? Now the tickets are really expensive. And then what do? You just make them available to affiliate owners first. And that's how you kind of like keep that whole entire thing closed in the expenses under control. Because as Brian Spin here says, and unfortunately I do agree with this without seeing too much of the financials, the barbell spin, it cannot stand alone. And I think all of us kind of know that to a certain degree, and at least it cannot stand alone in the current way that it's being ran. So it'd be very interesting to see what that would look like, especially with Dave as CEO and saying, okay, now here's these new constraints on the games in terms of budget and everything else. Here's the runway you have. Like, let's see what we could do with this. So it'd be really curious. So going back to the plans or the speculation or rumors of the new owners, I haven't heard much. Those were that was kind of like me just talking through with you guys, processing the games portion of it. And then literally that's all I pretty much heard about affiliates. Like I've heard that, Malik's really invested in the community. That was apparent when he was at Mayhem. Super nice guy. Got to meet him briefly. And it would be cool to be able to sit down and chat a little bit more and really understand like what does a business model look like to him, and then what are the first couple of moves that they make if they were the buyers. And then training. Like we just haven't heard much about training, um, which is interesting. And I think that with the training piece of it and then moving it online, moving the test online, like I think everybody's just trying to kind of figure out what to do with training. And it needs to still be in person. You could do a test online, you could do a retest online, but if you don't have that in person uh, L1, the in person L2, you you lose a ton of the culture and the way that the red shirts conduct themselves, and kind of putting that staple up of like, hey, this is what it looks like if you're a trainer at the tip of the spear here, and this is the way we behave, this is the way we conduct ourselves, this is how we act. And so when you have that, you're going to have that be mimicked by a lot of the people that are coming through and taking that course, because they're going to look at them as the authority, as they should. And if you take that and you move that online, that's going to be a big there will be a big second and third order consequence to that, especially that third order consequence, which could just fundamentally, and we already see it happening, change the whole entire culture of CrossFit. And essentially, the way that I see it is like the L1 and the L2, especially the L2, where you physically go through like coached classes with them. They're showing you, hey, this is the way that we run stuff. And obviously, affiliates are all free to kind of run their places how they see fit, but you need to have some sort of baseline. And in-person training provides that baseline, not only in culture, but also in like actual, this is how we run classes and conduct it. So the interesting thing that I think would be cool to see is you could have like an Uber style rating. So what I mean by that is if you needed to find some sort of revenue to keep the red shirts as employees rather than just contractors, I would have them visit local gyms within their region. So if you have a red shirt, if you have a trainer, and let's say they're here in like San Jose, which is just up the street from me. So okay, I'm that trainer in San Jose. Everything 15 miles away from me is within my territory. I know that outside of training on the weekends, I need to be visiting 2 to 3 CrossFit gyms throughout the week. And what do you do when you visit the gym? You just show up, you take the class, and at the end of it, you could submit some feedback back to the owner. Now, this would just be done not in the sense of like you get punished for this, not from the mothership, but just in like, I mean, it's kind of borderline social credit score. So, but it's a B2B, it's a business thing. But anyways, when they come in and then they kind of give you some feedback on it, those red shirts could also give your gym some sort of rating. And then on the map on CrossFit's website, you could have rating as a done for us by us type thing. So when you go onto the map and you see the gyms and the different things that are on there, you can know that those red shirts visited those gyms and just gave their personal feedback on it. And it'd be your unique accountability system within our own community. And then as a gym owner, as a coach, you're always kind of like, oh man, am I going to get the red shirt in my class today? And so you have to have some sort of system in place and consistency for your coaching and your experience in class as a gym owner. Because if you don't deliver on that, then the marks or the feedback that you would get from the L1 seminar staff that join your gym might not be very favorable. And then with CrossFit's ability to control that, if it happened to be a one-off, really bad experience, and they gave some feedback, who knows? Maybe they could adjust some of that and give some courtesy based on the context or situation. And that's how I would do it to be able to utilize the L1s not only on the weekends but inside the boxes. And the interesting thing is now you've really made them the voice of authority. You really have inside of your own community, almost like they're like, and I don't even want to say policing it, because it should be more of coming in with the heart of a teacher, as they all are, not the heart of like you're not up to permit here, not in that sense, but in the sense of like, hey, we all want to, whatever the thing is, rising tides raise all ships, and that's what we're here to do. So we're going to give you some feedback and blah 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 blah, and you can make adjustments or you can disagree with us, but it is what it is. And that would have some interesting second and third order consequences to it as well. And you could also say like, hey, it's a licensing fee. Uh, we, you know what I mean? Like we don't tell them what to do, but we do have a certain code of conduct in which the CrossFit culture behaves and acts in our experiences that we deliver in a class, which I know I'm like blurring the lines here, but it is what it is. And that's how we kind of make sure that we're keeping a nice good quality control on all this by just having the people that teach the seminars drop into your gym and do it often. Devesh, Souza, you're using way too many brain cells for CrossFit HQ to take your advice. Thank you, Devesh. I honestly don't think that they. I don't know. I don't think they listen to the show, and it seems like there's something else going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. So maybe they're just really focused on the sale of CrossFit and not necessarily uh, whatever on the affiliates or training. I don't know. I'm even trying to buy excuse. Yeah, dude, it's poor. It's bad. Rambler, what grade will you give Dawnfall for leadership? Dude, a fucking 0. I'm sure he's a great guy. Um, all the interactions I've had with him have been completely pleasant. Been great. As a CEO of CrossFit and as a leader of this community, it's not the right fit. Not even close. Not even close. And so yeah, that's my honest opinion on that. And again, I like so many times people conflate the fact of like, oh, you're personally attacking them. What do you? No, I'm not. I'm not. Like I said, multiple conversations with Don. Great dude, I'm sure. You know, have a nice steak dinner with him. Maybe that'd change my mind. But I don't know. As a leader of CrossFit, ain't gonna be me, dog. Andrew Hiller, I give Don a 12 out of 1,000. It's like my grades in high school. You could be nice and ineffective. Exactly, Judy. Exactly. I used to work at Black Angus as a bartender, as you guys know, the old Black Anus. And we had these two managers. One's name was John, one's name was Mark. And everybody loved Mark. Mark was a nice guy. He was cool to talk to. Easy. Kind of let stuff slide. I didn't exactly do by the book. That's okay. You didn't exactly. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. So, first order consequence with bringing Mark in as the manager, everybody loved him. He treated me nice. He made sure I got the days off I requested. He did this and he did that. Second order consequence started to be is now all of a sudden shit wasn't really there when you needed it. Because of the leniency in management, the bar wasn't stocked the night before, so the people would get in for the next shift and things would be missing or you'd be out of stuff. Same within the back of the kitchen. There started to become scheduling issues because we don't necessarily need to, and I know it's the thing this weekend, so we'll just go ahead and give you that time off. So next thing you know, second order consequences, it's like, damn, this shit's getting like, this is tough, man. All these people that are asking for a lot of favors are getting a lot of stuff. And those of us that are still just working by the book feel like we're like kind of carrying it. Third order consequences, the whole entire restaurant literally goes to crap. Inventory starts to come out of stock because things aren't ordered right. Things are being stocked properly. So there's no systems in place. You went from kind of doing by the book ish to now we've veered really far off course from that. And everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. So by the time 6 months later, 8 months later, and those third order consequences take effect, you hate working there. Then there was John. John was the mean boss. He was the one that did everything by the book. If there was the rule there, John just followed the rule. That's what he did as manager. First order consequence, John's an asshole. He didn't give me my time off. Well, did you put it in the 2 weeks ahead of time like it's supposed to? Well, no, I didn't know. Okay, well, so was it John or, did you just not follow the book? John's an asshole. Have we ever been out of inventory of anything? Plates, food, reservations run on time. The host stand really seems to have it together. So first order consequence, John seems like an asshole. But second and third order consequence, the place ran smooth. The place ran smooth. Things were stocked. Bartenders that didn't stock the night before that would normally screw over the next day's shift all of a sudden got in trouble if they didn't stock. John, heaven forbid, checked over their work and just said, yeah, let's just walk through this real quick. Is this mop? Hey, why don't we have enough garnishes? Are you guys supposed to cut the fruit tonight? Not tomorrow, right? And all of a sudden, People started to shape back up. Those systems started to tighten back up, and the place ran smooth. Clock. But Mark led us. Exactly. And it was the whole thing. And it was funny because the people that didn't really want to work, the people that weren't actually there, that just kind of wanted to slide by and would take all the shortcuts and screw everybody else over, because for every shortcut they took, somebody else had to pick up that slack. Those people love that boss. No big deal. We don't even have to show anything for our work. I get a $5 million media budget. I don't even have to convert shit. The nice boss is cool. We don't even fire people. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And so sometimes the short-term, uncomfortable, not favorable decision turns out to be the best long-term one. I really want to have all this cake after this class and drink my alcohol. Sounds good in the time. Second and third order consequences of that, not good. Abstaining from the cake and said alcohol maybe sucks because you wanted it. Second and third order consequences, good. Short-term decision-making usually involves a lot of emotional pull. You have to shift the thinking from like that, whatever they call it, the reptilian brain, into the frontal cortex to get you to actually think about something further out. And that's actually just as a side tangent. I mean, my whole podcast is a side tangent, but just as another one here, it's kind of funny because that's what they say is the effect of alcohol. It turns off your frontal cortex. So like the more you drink, the more that thing shuts down, and you're just focused on like what's like 2 feet in front of your face. You can't even see past that. As we all know, those are when the dumb decisions are made. Clock. So the lesson is that we need a real asshole to take over CrossFit. Well, it's interesting because didn't they refer to Greg as that? Sagging these nuts, a net should start a podcast. That would actually be incredible. That would actually be incredible. Dan Guerrero, big difference between a nice guy and a good dude. Yeah, nailed it. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. It's like socialism. Correct. Sounds great at first. We all pitch in, throw our money in. What's the worst that could happen? Right? Oh, yeah. And great follow-up. Janelle, it just hasn't been done right. Yes, that's right. That is always the follow-up argument to the socialism. No, it's just because it's never been done correctly. Yeah, right. The other thing that I would like to just discuss real quick while we're on the topic of socialism is a great plan or an idea is the lowest form of contribution. A great plan and an idea is the lowest form of contribution. Anybody could come up with an idea. It's hard to execute on it. Anybody could say this or that would be great. It's hard to actually start to execute on those things that you would be good when you lack the resources to be able to do them or express them in the full way you would like to. So why do I say that? Well, a lot of my stuff gets clipped and gets said, well, if you didn't take the time to read the thing, or you didn't take the time to contribute to the community. Because I could point out a lot of the work that I've done and that the crew that I roll with has done, a lot of it, and I could show you our contributions. I just don't tell you about our ideas. And I love this example. My younger cousin, he's 10 years younger than me, he was wanting to be a firefighter. And obviously I have connections with a lot of firefighters. So I set him up with a good buddy of mine who's also a union president of one of the fire departments that I work with. And I was like, hey, I'm going to set you up with him. You guys have a chat. He'll help you through the interviews and blah, blah. So they do this mock interview, right? The firefighter asked him, he goes, hey, so why do you want to be a firefighter? My cousin answers, he goes, oh, because I want to help out and contribute to my community. The guy goes, great. So what have you done so far? My cousin just sat there blankly. And he was like, he goes, oh, so you could only contribute once you're the firefighter, right? You can't help your community in any way until then. So 2 things. Either you lack the ability to actually execute on what you're saying, or You just fucking talked out of your ass. Which one is it? Either way, it's not good. Either way, you're like, all right, well, shit. I guess I could have contributed to my community to give you some examples before I was a firefighter, but I actually didn't do anything. And that's gonna sound bad. Or I can just tell you, like, I pulled that out of my ass because it sounded good. Either way, it ain't looking good. Souza sewering his cousin. No, 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 no. It all turned out good. He's all good. And in fact, he called me after that, and it was just it was like a mock interview, so he could kind of feel what that pressure was like, or coming up with those answers. And it was amazing because he called me and he's like, "Yeah, I learned to really think about what I'm saying, and not just say something that I thought sounded good, but actually had some meat to it, and that I could back it up." The funny thing was too is like there was another question that he had told me about, and it was something like, "Oh, do you like fishing?" And he like agreed because it was his superior. Yeah, yeah, fishing's cool. And he's like, "Okay, cool. Where do you like to fish?" And all of a sudden, again, it like ran out of rope, and he's like, well, it's been a while since I gone." He's like, "Dude, don't bullshit us. You don't need to say, oh, I like fishing because you like fishing, so now I'm in." It's like those guys are majority of them. They keep that shit real as fuck. So if you say you like fishing like you actually don't, they're gonna find out. So point being, don't just tell me your ideas. Don't just like show me some contributions where you've actually made contribution to the community. And speaking about contribution, head on over to school.com/media launch. It's completely free, and you can see all the contributions I've contributed all over my monitor, and you guys could see it. But there will be some cool stuff in there with Wodify, because I'm shifting my whole entire gym. As I'm sure you guys know, they're a sponsor of the show. And part of that sponsorship is my whole entire gym is shifting to Wodify. And I'm creating little videos about that process. And the first portion of it was like the constraints that I'm hoping Wodify will lift off the business in terms of like retention, making follow up with leads easier, adding some more media, like our personal media, to these workouts, and some more information around education to our members. So like all of that stuff will hopefully increase engagement and increase everything else. Christian, you're going to love this, dude. So right now, the internal software that I use is called WOD Together. I bought it in 2015. It's like $120 a month or something like that. It is probably the worst one. It's fine for the money, but literally like putting in the workouts and the like user experience on the back end, like the whole thing is trash. So we're gonna change that. And I'm pumped. It'll start on May 1st. So we have a QR code. If you guys want to check that out, I gotta switch this whole media thing. Hold on. We're gonna bring up your QR code real quick. So here's the cool part. This QR code right there gives you a deal, $79 for your first month getting started with them. That'll take you to the landing page where you guys will get all the information. You could book a demo with them and learn about how it'll help your gym. But this also works for individuals. I think Hiller uses it for his Hiller Fit programming. He likes it a lot. That kind of helped our decision to shifting to using them, to going with the sponsorship, because of his what he said about it, meaning he just liked it. He vouched for it. So anyhow, if you guys want to go do that, you could use that QR code that I just had up there and rock it out. Cute. LOL. That's what Taylor and Bryson do. What's that? Gym together. WOD together. It took a minute, Christian. I hope that was the joke that you were making. It took a minute, but I got it. Jason Bourne. Shabuzi. That's my favorite one. Standy keeps calling me Snooza. I don't know if I like that. All right, so here is wait, why is it redirecting me? Come on, this link better work. Yes. Okay. This is some gnarly shit. This is what's known as the Fetty lean. That is crazy, right? Fent Bent, downtown San Francisco, in the Tenderloin. It's crazy to see. And I got into it. Oh, David, don't you, don't you, don't you start using that too now. Um, set myself up for that one, huh? Uh, I got into like this whole entire uh both you guys jump ship new mobility protocol. Yeah, that one's for the low back. Does fentanyl help with mobility? No. It does not. It's I posted this thing the other day that that talked about the different, like, it showed just from January 2025 until I think it was like the beginning of April or something like that, and it showed like the different amounts of fentanyl that's coming through the border, and like obviously a shitload of it is coming through the border down south. And I was like, yeah, I said this isn't an attack. And then I got attacked in the comments because people are like, that's not an attack. How is this an attack? And I'm like, dude, if you do not think that everything in China is state owned, CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. So if you think that there's pharmaceutical companies that are on the black market that are creating this cheap, much more potent fentanyl and then sending it through the southern U.S. border via the cartels, if you don't think that that's an attack that's ran by the Chinese government, like, you're crazy. Nothing gets produced in there without the state's approval. That's how this works. That's why it was hilarious when Biden was still in administration and was in, and they were calling Trump this like dictator. It's like, in order for an actual dictatorship to exist, you have to have all the systems working toward you: the justice system, the media, and your presidential branch of it. Like, that has to be all in cahoots, moving towards a singular objective. And we've seen it get pretty close with some administrations. We haven't seen that take form yet with the Trump administration, especially back then. And believe me, I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm not totally on the here's my opinion. It's like, I like the guys that are all candidates, and then the second they go in office, even if it's my favorable candidate out of the two, then all of a sudden they still need to be held accountable. Like, the second you switch from candidate to in office, right? Then it's like, now we go to critical to hold you accountable. At least that's the way that I should see it. And actually, one of the things that kind of scares me about the Trump situation is how much people are like backed him. And I get like a lot of the stuff that he's like rolling out, the American people really wanted, but we're also ignoring some of the things that were promised that were not delivered, which makes you kind of go, oh, wow, is it all it's cracked up to be, or is this guy just the next front man? So anyways, not to go too far off on that, but when I got attacked from that fentanyl thing, I was like, dude, how do you guys not see that as a second or third order consequence, that is literally an attack without it being attacked? I mean, that's what the whole entire point of the CIA is. It's so that way they could go in and do a bunch of shit or whatever they want to do and muddle in other countries, and then you just can't trace it back to the US government because it's the CIA doing it and they have other assets out there. So it protects you from saying, oh, well, this is responsible by the US government. We're still out there meddling in everything. You have to be a fool to think that they're not. I'm always funny. You give me LOLs. Cracked eggs and make an omelet. Yep. Stanley, I had to first time you said something funny. Oh, got it. Now you guys are arguing. And then David laughs. And Jeremy misses Corey. Cool. Cool. Awesome. I love the Jason Bourne. Please just play into that character hard. That's great. Okay, last piece here. Old Gavi. Have you guys watched any of his podcast? It's incredible. This fucking guy. I like how, if you haven't watched it, don't bother. I mean, it's whatever. If you're into it, you can watch it. The clips will do it justice. But it's just amazing how he goes on that podcast, and I think it was like Charlie Kirk, the one I was watching, and he's like, "Yeah, Latinx. I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know how that got. I don't even know where that came from." And then all of a sudden, it's just clip after clip after clip of Gavin using it. It's like this guy just there's nothing that he's actually standing on. It's like the wind changes directions, and all of a sudden the Democratic Party was like, oh shit, we just lost out to all this independent media. We need to make our politicians now seem like actual humans, because this new generation wants to actually hear their opinions in long form and not just the sound bites. And it's hilarious watching him campaign, but man, the dude is slick. Like, he's like as greasy as his hair looks. Like, you just can't like pin him down. And to be honest, there's a certain amount of that like fascinates me. It's like you think you kind of got him pinned in a corner and he just kind of like slides right out of it, almost laughs, like becomes agreeable. You could definitely tell this fucker is just a shifty car salesman kind of guy. And it's just interesting to watch it play out. Anyhow, new San Francisco program backed by Newsom will issue speeding tickets based on income. Okay. So let's play this out, right? What's our first and second order consequence? Oh, well, yeah, great. The rich should pay more and I should probably pay less because I'm not as rich. The second order consequence is, well, wait a minute. If we actually think this through and as it's playing out, the poor can't afford it at all, especially the subsidized population. So does that mean they just no longer get fined, or is the fines okay? So you're like, all right, that's a little weird. And then you think about it and you go, well, wait a minute. The fines were never an actual punishment on the rich to begin with. Because if you got a shitload of money and lawyers could fight your court case and all this other stuff, like you're not really affected by it. The lawyers do their things, they show up for you, and chances are, depending on what's happening, you don't even have to be present. So if the poor can't be affected because they don't have the money to pay it in the first place, and the rich aren't affected because they have so much money that doesn't matter, then what does it mean that we're actually issuing speeding tickets based on income? Well, let's break that down. It actually just means that the middle class is going to continuously get squeezed. Because now they'll go, well, you're at this bottom portion, you're lower middle class, and you're upper middle class, and really we're just going to move the fines right around through here. Why? Probably just to get this lower portion to have more adherence to actually paying the fine. Because it costs us more money for them to not to show up in court, to not pay the fines, to then to turn into a warrant, for then us to arrest them, to then bring them in, to then do the paperwork, to then release them. And they're definitely ain't doing that with the Fetty Wap crew on the fucking Tenderloin Street. So as you really think about that, it's like they're just squeezing that middle class more and more and more here in California. Makes sense. The middle class don't own any assets. The rich own all the assets. The lower caste being subsidized by the government just makes them dependent. So then therefore makes the government, argue and lobby for more power, more money for subsidizations. And as that wealth gap just widens and widens and widens and widens and widens, you're going to start having a lot of problems. Because the second the middle class decides it doesn't fucking matter what I do, the American dream is dead and I'll never get ahead, that's when you get the real civil unrest. Which by and large, relative to history, even with all the crazy stuff that we've seen going on, we haven't actually seen that happen. Like the BLM riots got close. But yeah, there you go, Logan. Let's pay groceries based on income. Buy more guns, guy. I actually don't own a single gun. I don't. So, not me necessarily. And also too, that's not. Oh, now I'm rainbow because I don't. I was talking with the firefighters that I have in the morning, and I was like, dude, it's insane to me when you think about how we don't incentivize ownership. You know what I mean? Like, we don't incentivize ownership of stuff anymore. And when I was talking with the firefighters, I was thinking, like, dude, why in the world wouldn't a city say, hey, if you're a first responder, if you're a cop, you're a firefighter. We'll even extend it to teachers, nurses, right? Like, so anybody that makes like massive contributions to their local communities, here's what we're going to do: massive tax breaks in terms of property taxes, different rates going through a different financial institution to buy a house, and making it extremely affordable for those community contributors to live in their or 10 miles outside of their communities. Why in the world would you not incentivize those people that are taking care of those communities to live in those communities? It makes zero sense. But yet, here in Livermore, you have to have a certain amount of like subsidized like housing, a certain amount of low income housing, a certain amount of this. Okay, that's fine. I get it. I feel bad for those people too. Fuck, I'm one of them. Think I can afford my 900 square feet $1 million fucking home here? But why would we turn all that subsidization and different things to those communities, especially in a city like Livermore, where once they get into the home, the cost of living here is too expensive anyway. So what happens? They get their home there with the subsidization and they commute out for work. So essentially, you just have a bunch of people passing through. I think that if you changed that around to allowing the contributors to own homes in their own community, the second and third order consequences is that the lesser, not the lesser, the people that need more in the communities that don't have as much, that have a little bit less than those other ones with jobs or their financial situation or whatever it may be, would actually contribute more to those local communities in need. I don't think this top down approach works. And clearly the spending is just fucking incredible. Congress is out of their minds. And the crazy thing is, and I'm so pissed I missed it because there's never protests in Livermore. And there was one on a Saturday when I was in Mayhem. And Grace was telling me, she was like, yeah, there had to at least been like 400 or 500 people right at the flagpole downtown. And they were all protesting Elon Musk. They were protesting Trump and Elon Musk. And a lot of them, she was telling me, has like the Doge signs and all this stuff. And I just would have loved to go down there and like chat with them about it, because you could definitely have opinions on like Musk kind of coming in or having too much autonomy or like having too much power. And that's a fair discussion. But it's crazy to me when they will defend this incompetent, untracked spending. That to me makes zero sense. If you're a taxpayer, don't you want to see that every dollar you're paying into the system, speak of the devil, it's April 15th. I'm going to go write a check right after this. But don't you want to, every single one of those dollars to have some sort of name to them? Don't you want to feel good? You pay your taxes and you're like, yeah, dude, my community is great and it's clean and I feel safe and blah, 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 blah. So every time I do this, I'm not running over potholes that are going to freaking put a, blow your tire out on the road and all this other crap that, we're supposed to pay the government for, so for them to maintain and do. Like, don't you want to be stoked about it where those dollars are being allocated correctly and in your interest as a contributing citizen and not sent to wherever the fuck, Uganda, for condoms? I mean, that's crazy. And there's people that defend that. This day and age, it should not be behind this weird curtain. You should essentially be able to go to the site like how Doge has and see where the money is going to. I mean, you could go to it and see the debt we all owe, something like $168,000 per household to clear out our national debt, which we have, we vote the people in to spend, but clearly we have no idea where the money's going or how it's being spent. Jason Bourne, condoms are for losers. Well, that's good for you, Jason, because we know you're no stranger to risk. So, Brett, I have friends that refuse to believe there is any good coming from Doge. Yeah, that's the thing that gets me. It's like, like I said, we could have the discussion of, does he have too much autonomy? Does he have too much power? Like, what does this mean in second and third order consequences of letting somebody like that have the autonomy they do? But like, shouldn't we all be behind understanding where all of our money's going? Or Trump or RFK just blind to it all? Yeah. It is easy to check how much you have paid into Social Security and Medicare. I encourage you to check that out and let that number sink in. I will definitely check that out. Is it like a site, Steve, or if you could drop that in the comments, it'd be dope. I'm for sure gonna check that out. Uh, but yeah, it's it's nuts. So Jason Bourne wants STDs, STIs, like how I just said it STD, even though you said STIs. And STIs like the European way. Jason Bourne, he dodges the like, come on, he could dodge all that shit. Haven't you seen those fight scenes? He's intense. He is intense. So yeah, just to recap this here, you gotta have a vision for yourself. You gotta have a plan. And when you guys plan that stuff out, or when you're listening to other people's plans, you gotta ask yourself, who does this actually benefit? Who is this benefiting? I'm at 250K and counting. Dope. Jason Bourne, can't get it if you have it. Well played. Well played, Jason Bourne. I think we're gonna get some news here with the Sell CrossFit soon. Soon. I think there was some sort of window on this, and I think that window is closing. So whether it's closing and nothing's changed, or whether it's closing and we have a new buyer, we shall find out shortly. And hopefully we'll see some more campaigning from the potential new owners, because once they start campaigning, we could start to analyze their vision, analyze what it is they're going to do, and then we'll play the game of second and third order consequences. And that'll be fun. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out today. I hope you got something out of it. Just hanging out and chatting. I enjoy it. I had nothing really planned today. We were just cruising. Go to Watify. Go to school.com/media launch. Buy some Matuthian. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate all you guys. As always, be good to each other out there. There's too much negativity in the space. So don't be negative. Have a good day, y'all. Bye-bye.